The Vex Empire had ruled the Outer Rim for 3 centuries. Their sleek silver ships moved through space like predators, taking what they wanted from weaker species. Commander Crix stood on the bridge of the flagship Dominator, watching his fleet of 12 warships approach a small blue planet. Another primitive world, Crix said to his Lieutenant Knox. The scouts report they barely have spaceflight. This will be easy. The humans had only recently built their first interstellar ships. Earth's colonies were young and scattered. The Vex expected quick surrender, like always. But something was different this time. As the Vex fleet moved closer to the human colony, world of New Haven, their sensors picked up an energy signature they had never seen before. "Commander," Knox said, his voice tight with worry. "Something massive is approaching from the far side of the planet." Crix looked at the display. A single ship was moving toward them, but it was unlike anything in their databases. Where Vex ships were elegant and curved, this vessel was angular and brutal. It looked like a floating fortress made of dark metal and sharp edges. "One ship?" Crix laughed. "They send 1 ship against 12? Scan it." The scan results made his laughter die. The ship was enormous, nearly 3 times the size of the Dominator. Its hull was covered in weapon ports and armor plating that looked incredibly thick. "Sir," the scanner operator called out, "I'm reading power levels that don't make sense. Their reactor output is... It's impossible." The human ship moved with surprising speed for its size. On its hull they could see markings in the human language. UES Thunderstrike. A message came through on standard frequencies. A calm human voice spoke in perfect Vex language. "This is Captain Blake of the United Earthship Thunderstrike. You have entered human space without permission. Leave now, or face the consequences." Crix felt insulted. "They dare threaten us? Open fire on that ship. Destroy it quickly so we can get back to business." The Vex fleet opened fire with their energy weapons. Bright beams of destruction lanced out toward the human battleship. Crix expected to see the ship break apart or explode. Instead, the energy beam struck the Thunderstrike's shields and seemed to simply disappear. The ship didn't even slow down. "Impossible," Knox whispered. "Our weapons are bouncing off like they're hitting a moon." Captain Blake's voice came through again, still calm. "Final warning. Leave human space now." Crix's pride wouldn't let him retreat. "All ships focus fire. Use everything we have." 12 Vex warships poured their full firepower into the human battleship. The space around the Thunderstrike lit up with energy blasts and missile explosions. Surely nothing could survive that much destruction. When the light faded, the human ship was still there, completely undamaged. "How?" Crix demanded. "How are they still intact?" His question was answered quickly. The Thunderstrike began to turn, and weapon ports along its hull started to glow with an orange light that hurt to look at. "Sir," the scanner operator said, his voice shaking, "I'm reading massive energy buildup in their weapons. The power levels they're off our scales." Captain Blake spoke one last time. "You were warned." The human battleship fired. What happened next would have been impossible for the Vex to understand, even if any of them had lived to report it. The Thunderstrike's main guns didn't fire energy beams or missiles. They fired streams of matter moving at nearly the speed of light, kinetic penetrators that carried more energy than most stars. The Dominator simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, the next it was an expanding cloud of superheated gas. 2 more Vex ships died in the same instant, torn apart by weapons that made their own firepower look like children's toys. The remaining 9 ships tried to flee, but the human battleship was faster than it looked. Its secondary weapons opened fire, smaller versions of the same impossible guns. Each shot destroyed a Vex warship completely. In less than 5 minutes, the entire Vex fleet was gone. Not damaged, not defeated, completely annihilated. The Thunderstrike moved back toward New Haven, leaving only debris and radiation to mark where the Vex Empire's most powerful fleet had once been. On distant Vex worlds, commanders waited for reports from Crix's fleet. Those reports would never come. The Vex Empire had just encountered something they had never faced before, a species that built their warships not for conquest or glory, but for absolute, total war. They had met humanity, and none had lived to warn their people what was coming. 3. Days after the Vex fleet disappeared, panic spread through their empire. Admiral Rex, supreme commander of the Vex war machine, stood in his command center on the fortress world of Vex Prime. He stared at the tactical display showing 12 red dots that had simply vanished. "Send another fleet," Rex ordered his aide. "Captain Tor, double the size. Whatever destroyed Crix's ships won't expect 24 warships." But deep space sensors were already picking up something that made Rex's blood run cold. The humans weren't waiting for the Vex to come to them. 3 human battleships had left their territory and were moving toward Vex space at impossible speed. "Sir," a technician called out. "Long-range sensors show 3 massive contacts approaching Sector 7. They match the energy signature from the ship that destroyed the Dominator." Rex studied the data. Each human ship was broadcasting the same message on all frequencies. "The Vex Empire has 48 hours to surrender all military assets and withdraw from occupied territories. This is your only warning." "Arrogant mammals," Rex snarled. "They think 3 ships can threaten an empire of 1,000 worlds?" He was about to learn how wrong he was. The first human battleship, UES Vengeance, reached the Vex border world of Outpost Delta. The planet had massive defense stations in orbit, weapons platforms that could destroy entire fleets. Rex watched through long-range cameras as his people prepared to show these humans real firepower. The defense stations opened fire first. Massive energy cannons that could crack moons unleashed their fury on the single human ship. Rex expected to see the battleship vaporized. Instead, the Vengeance flew straight through the barrage as if the weapons weren't even there. Its shields didn't even flicker. Then the human ship fired back. A single shot from its main gun hit defense. Station Alpha, the massive structure built to withstand any attack, simply disintegrated. Not exploded, disintegrated. Every atom was torn apart and scattered into space. "Impossible," Rex whispered. The Vengeance fired again. Station Beta vanished, then Gamma, then Delta. In 60 seconds, the entire orbital defense network was gone. But the humans weren't done. The battleship turned toward the planet itself. Rex watched in horror as the human ship fired once more. The shot hit the planet's military command center. The explosion was so massive it could be seen from space, a brief new sun that burned away everything for hundreds of miles. A message came from the Vengeance. "Military assets destroyed. Civilian population unharmed. This planet is now under human protection." Similar scenes played out across 3 other Vex worlds. The humans had somehow learned the locations of every major Vex military base, and they were destroying them with surgical precision. Civilian areas remained untouched, but anything military simply ceased to exist. "How many ships do they have?" Rex demanded. "Unknown, sir. Our scouts can't get close enough to scan their territory. Every probe we send simply disappears." Rex realized the truth was even worse than he feared. The humans weren't just superior in technology. They were hunting the Vex like animals. Every military asset, every warship, every weapon platform was being systematically destroyed. In the space of 1 week, the Vex Empire lost over 200 warships. Not a single human ship had been damaged. "Sir," Captain Tor said quietly, "perhaps we should consider their surrender terms." Rex backhanded him across the face. "Never. We are the Vex Empire. We do not surrender to primitives." But even as he spoke, reports came in of more human battleships entering Vex space. They moved in small groups, each one more than capable of destroying entire fleets. They struck military targets with precision that seemed impossible, then disappeared before reinforcements could arrive. The humans were fighting a war unlike anything the Vex had ever experienced. They didn't conquer worlds. They simply removed the Vex ability to fight back. It was warfare as clinical and precise as surgery. Rex began to understand that his empire was facing something it had never encountered before, a species that had turned war itself into a science. The humans didn't fight with passion or anger. They fought with cold, calculating efficiency that made every shot count and every strategy perfect. On the edges of Vex space, worlds began surrendering without a fight. They had seen what happened to those who resisted. The humans kept their word. Civilians were unharmed, but military assets were eliminated completely. Rex stared at the tactical display and realized that his 1,000-world empire was being dismantled. Piece by beings who fought like machines but struck like gods. The hunt had begun, and the Vex were the prey. On Earth, in the deep underground command center beneath New Geneva, Admiral Stone watched the war unfold with cold satisfaction. The massive screen showed real-time data from across Vex space, military installations being eliminated, fleets being destroyed, and surrender messages flooding in from terrified worlds. Status report, Stone ordered her aide, Colonel West. 18 human battleships are currently engaged in Operation Clean Sweep, West replied. We've eliminated 60% of Vex military assets. 0 human casualties, 0 human ships damaged, Stone nodded. This was exactly how human warfare was supposed to work. Overwhelming technological superiority, applied with mathematical precision. The other alien species in the galaxy didn't understand how humans fought. They saw war as competition, as tests of honor or displays of power. Humans saw war as a problem to be solved, like any engineering challenge. Show me the technical analysis, Stone commanded. The main screen displayed detailed scans of destroyed Vex ships. Every piece of wreckage had been studied, every weapon system analyzed. The data was disturbing in its completeness. The Vex use energy-based weapons almost exclusively, the chief scientist Dr. Gray explained. Their most powerful guns generate about 12 terawatts of focused energy. Their shields can absorb maybe 15 terawatts before failing. Tanedi smiled coldly. And our weapons? Our main kinetic cannons deliver approximately 800 terawatts of kinetic energy per shot. Their shields can't even register our attacks as weapons. The energy levels are too high for their sensors to process. This was the difference between human and alien thinking. Other species improved their weapons by making them more powerful. Humans improved their weapons by making them more efficient, more accurate, and more destructive. The mathematics are simple, Dr. Gray continued. A Vex battleship requires approximately 40 direct hits from their own weapons to be destroyed. Our weapons require less than 1 shot. The margin of superiority is roughly 4,000 to 1. But the weapons were only part of the story. Human ships were faster, more heavily armored, and equipped with sensors that could track enemy movements from light years away. Most importantly, human commanders thought differently. Bring up the tactical analysis from the Sector 7 engagement, Stone ordered. The screen showed a 3-dimensional map of the battle. A single human battleship had faced 8 Vex cruisers. The aliens had tried to surround the human ship and attack from multiple angles. The Vex commander made the classic mistake, Colonel West explained. He thought in terms of individual ship combat. Our Captain Davis thought in terms of system dynamics. The human ship hadn't tried to fight 8 enemies at once. Instead, it had used its superior speed to position itself so that the Vex ships would interfere with each other's targeting systems. Then it had picked them off one by one, each shot calculated to maximum effect. Time to completion, 4 minutes, 12 seconds, West noted. All 8 enemy ships destroyed. 0 damage to human vessel. This was how humans had always fought their wars, by thinking several steps ahead and treating each battle like a chess game where they already knew every possible move. What about their latest response? Stone asked. The Vex Empire had finally realized they couldn't win through direct confrontation. They were now trying to use their numbers advantage, sending dozens of smaller ships to overwhelm human battleships through sheer quantity. Dr. Gray brought up the most recent engagement data. The Vex sent 47 light cruisers against the UES Retribution. Captain Adams used the new cluster munition system. Stone watched the tactical replay with professional interest. The human battleship had fired a single shot that separated into hundreds of smaller projectiles, each one guided by its own targeting system. Every Vex ship had been hit simultaneously. Engagement time, 18 seconds, Dr. Gray reported. All 47 enemy vessels destroyed. 0 damage to human ship. The aliens were learning, Stone admitted, but they were learning the wrong lessons. They kept trying to find ways to overcome human technological advantages without understanding that the technology wasn't the real weapon. The real weapon was human thinking. Humans didn't just build better guns. They completely reimagined what war could be. They had turned destruction into a precise science, with every variable calculated and every outcome predicted. "Admiral," Colonel West said, "we're receiving surrender offers from 12 more Vex worlds. They're asking for terms." Stone considered this. The humans could have easily conquered the entire Vex Empire by now. But conquest wasn't the goal. The goal was to demonstrate that resistance was mathematically impossible. "Standard terms," she decided. "Complete military disarmament, no offensive, weapons above civilian grade, and integration into the human protection sphere." As the reports continued to pour in, Stone reflected on the fundamental difference between humans and their enemies. Other species fought wars to prove they were strong. Humans fought wars to prove that fighting them was pointless. Admiral Rex stood alone in his command center, staring at a display that showed the death of his empire. Red zones marked former Vex territories now under human control. Only 12 worlds remained under his command, and surrender offers arrived daily. In 3 weeks, the humans had dismantled a 1,000-year empire without breaking a sweat. "Sir?" Captain Tor entered quietly. His face was pale and his hands shook. "The humans have sent another message." Rex read the transmission with growing despair. The humans had calculated the exact number of military assets the Vex Empire had left. They knew the location of every secret base, every hidden fleet, every last weapon platform. The message wasn't a demand, it was a mathematical proof that resistance was impossible. "They know everything," Rex whispered. "How do they know everything?" The answer came from an unexpected source. A new ship appeared on the sensors. Not a human battleship, but a Vex courier vessel. It carried Ambassador Kex, one of the first Vex commanders to surrender to the humans. "Admiral," Kex said as he entered the command center, "I bring an offer from the human leadership." Rex wanted to kill the traitor on sight, but something in Kex's manner stopped him. The ambassador looked relieved, almost happy. "What offer?" Rex demanded. "Complete integration into the Human Protection Coalition. Your people will be safe, your worlds will prosper, and your culture will be preserved. But your military must be completely disbanded." "And if I refuse?" Kex gestured to the tactical display. "Look at the numbers, Rex. Really look at them." Rex studied the data he'd been trying to ignore. In 3 weeks of fighting, the Vex Empire had lost over 2,000 warships, 500 military bases, and dozens of weapon platforms. Human losses, 0. Not a single human ship had been damaged, enough to require retreat. "It's not possible," Rex said. "No species is that superior." "That's what I thought too," Kex replied. "But I've seen their worlds now, Rex. I've talked to their leaders. Do you know what I learned?" Rex waited. "This isn't even their military," Kex said quietly. "The ships destroying our empire, they're just the exploration fleet. Their actual military hasn't even been deployed yet." Rex felt something cold settle in his stomach. "What do you mean?" "The 18 battleships that dismantled our empire represent about 2% of human military capability. They have over 800 ships like these, plus vessels we haven't even seen yet. Ships that make these battleships look primitive." The numbers didn't make sense. Rex's mind rejected them. Impossible. No species could build such a fleet. They didn't build them for conquest, Rex. They built them for protection. Humans have been fighting wars for thousands of years, not just against aliens, but against each other. They've turned warfare into a branch of mathematics. Kex activated a holographic display showing human space. "Look at their territory. 67 worlds, each one more heavily defended than our capital. Every single planet has orbital weapon platforms that could destroy our entire remaining fleet." Rex stared at the display in growing horror. Human space wasn't an empire, it was a fortress. Every world was positioned to support every other world. Every fleet was positioned to respond to any threat within days. "They don't fight wars," Kex continued. "They solve problems. And right now, we're a problem that they're solving with typical human efficiency." What happened to the commanders who surrendered? Rex asked. They're alive. Their people are safe. The humans kept every promise they made. Worlds that surrender get human protection, human technology, human medicine. Did you know human medical technology can extend our lifespan by 3 centuries? Rex's communication system chimed. Another message from the humans, but this one was different. It wasn't from a battleship commander, it was from Admiral Stone herself. Admiral Rex, the message began. Our analysts calculate that you have approximately 43 hours of military capability remaining. We can eliminate your forces at any time, but we prefer peaceful solutions. The message continued with precise details of every Vex asset, down to individual weapons. The humans had been tracking everything in real time. We offer integration into the Human Protection Coalition. Your people will have access to our technology, our trade networks, and our protection from other hostile species. In exchange, we require complete military disarmament and adherence to coalition law. Rex realized that resistance wasn't just futile, it was mathematically impossible. The humans had already won. They were just giving him time to accept reality. You have 12 hours to decide, the message concluded. Choose wisely. Rex looked at Captain Tor, who nodded slightly. Even his most loyal officer could see the truth. The Vex Empire was over. The age of human dominance had begun. 6 months after the surrender of the Vex Empire, the galaxy was a different place. Former Vex Admiral Rex, now serving as planetary administrator of his homeworld, stood in his office reviewing reports that would have seemed impossible a year ago. Crime on Vex Prime had dropped by 90%. Lifespan had increased by 2 centuries. Food production had tripled, all thanks to human technology and human protection. But it was the military reports that truly showed how much had changed. Sir, his aide brought him the daily briefing. Another pirate fleet tried to raid the Centauri colonies last night. Rex read the report with interest. 47 pirate ships had approached the human-protected world of New Centauri, probably thinking it would be an easy target. They had been wrong. A single human patrol ship, not even a battleship, just a cruiser, had responded to the threat. The engagement lasted 37 seconds. All 47 pirate vessels had been destroyed, with such precision that the debris didn't even threaten the planet below. Any survivors? Rex asked. None who tried to fight. 17 ships surrendered immediately when they saw what happened to the others. Those crews are being processed for integration into the coalition workforce. This was the new reality. Humans didn't just win battles. They made the idea of fighting them so obviously suicidal that most enemies surrendered without firing a shot. Rex walked to his window and looked out over his world. Construction robots were building a new spaceport using human designs. The old military academy had been converted into a school for engineering and medicine. Children who would have been trained as warriors were now learning to build and heal, instead of destroy. His communication system chimed. A priority message from Admiral Stone on Earth. Administrator Rex. Her voice was calm and professional. We have a situation that requires your expertise. Rex straightened. Even 6 months later, hearing from human military leadership made him nervous. The Korth hegemony has declared war on the coalition, Stone continued. They apparently believe they can succeed where the Vex Empire failed. We'd like your assessment of their military capabilities. Rex pulled up his files on the Korth. They were an aggressive species with a large fleet of modern warships. Their technology was superior to what the Vex had possessed, and they controlled over 200 worlds. Admiral, Rex replied. The Korth have approximately 3,000 heavy cruisers and 800 battleships. Their weapons technology is advanced, and their commanders are experienced. They pose a significant threat. Stone's response surprised him. Thank you for the assessment. The threat has been neutralized. I'm sorry, Admiral. Could you repeat that? The Korth military has been eliminated. Total engagement time was approximately 6 hours. No human casualties. Rex stared at his communication system in disbelief. 6 hours? For their entire military? The Korth made the same mistake most species make, Stone explained. They concentrated their forces for a massive assault on our border worlds. We simply sent the UES Annihilator to their capital system and eliminated their fleet while it was grouped together. Rex had heard stories about the Annihilator, one of the new human supercarriers that could deploy hundreds of smaller attack craft, each one more powerful than most alien battleships. "How many ships did you use?" Connie asked. "One," Stone replied simply. "The Korth Empire formally surrendered 43 minutes ago. They'll be integrated into the coalition within the month." Rex realized that humans weren't just technologically superior, they were getting better at warfare with each engagement. They learned from every battle, improved their tactics, and shared knowledge across their entire fleet. "Admiral," Rex said carefully, "may I ask a question?" "Of course. Is there any species in the galaxy that could pose a real threat to humanity?" Stone was quiet for a moment. "Our analysis suggests that any species capable of threatening the coalition would need to be at least 50 years more advanced than we are, possess a fleet of at least 10,000 ships comparable to our battleships, and demonstrate tactical innovation beyond anything we've encountered." She paused. "Our deep space sensors have detected no evidence of such a species existing anywhere in known space." Rex understood. Humanity hadn't just won a few battles. They had achieved complete strategic dominance over their entire region of the galaxy. Any species that might have been able to challenge them had been eliminated, absorbed, or had chosen to join the coalition peacefully. The galaxy now belonged to humanity, not through conquest, but through the simple demonstration that resistance was mathematically impossible. As Rex returned to his administrative duties, he reflected on the strange irony of it all. His people had been warriors for 1,000 years, believing that strength came from the ability to destroy. The humans had taught them that true strength came from making destruction unnecessary. The age of galactic warfare was over. The age of human peace had begun.